Hello there and welcome to Ask Indy.
Hello.
Comments edition. My name is Ian.
My name is Paul.
You remembered it this time, that's good.
I did.
This is the second take. We did one take where he couldn't remember his own name. Comments section. What we're doing is we're going to look at some of the comments and questions that have been put under our videos so far.
There have been a few.
There have been a few. Some of them a bit negative. What I will say is, if people leave comments that aren't questions, we probably won't do anything with them. Because we filmed an edition of this last week where we attempted to answer a very critical person who, under our very first video, had written a big long thing about thinking Maggie Thatcher was brilliant and how socialism was doomed to failure. And we spent quite a lot of time critiquing that. But then I think if we do that, then we kind of have to do that to everyone that writes anything critical. So I think the idea is that we will do one of these kind of comment sections when we have questions to answer and actual valid things to discuss in reference to the actual debate. So, today's comment comes from an Every Tip Co UK. I don't think that's his actual name, that's obviously his username.
It doesn't sound like a real name.
No.
I can't imagine that going on a birth certificate.
Well, it could, but a very modern birth certificate.
Now, great if they got knighted. I knight you every tip.
Sir Every Tip Co UK. He wrote a thing last week under a video where he, first of all, commented on the fact that I don't pause to breathe and I just talk non-stop. And he said, I think, that if I maybe did pause to breathe for 5 seconds, you might get to speak.
I wouldn't say very much, I'm quite quiet.
Yeah. And then he also went on to say, on the plus side, we look like the two main characters in Porridge.
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that. I'm not, because I get to be Ronnie Barker. Well, basically, I get to be both members of the two Ronnies, because he said that I do monologues, which is what Ronnie Corbett does. And I look like Ronnie Barker, which is what Ronnie Barker does, or did, because he's dead now. So anyway, he has written another message under a different video, and this time he actually talks about the content of our video and brings up comments and questions in relation to the independence referendum, which is what we want.
Yeah, well, thanks for paying attention.
Thank you, and thank you for not being too distracted by the fact that we look like the main characters in Porridge. Okay, so I shall read you out what Every Tip Co UK said. Right. So, I want to call him everytip.co.uk, but there's no dots, it's just everytip.co.uk. Okay, so his message said, guys, why would you want to join the EU after successfully getting independence? Salmond keeps saying that the country gets governed by people it didn't vote for. That's the EU in a nutshell. The whole reason that there is a UK independence party is that the UK isn't independent because it's in the EU and all major decisions are made in Brussels. Personally, I think Scotland could do a lot worse than stay out of the EU and become a tax haven.
Can I just interject
You jump in?
here? Yeah. The good thing about being in the EU for Scotland is the grants and funds that is received from European funded things like in education, agriculture, fishing and things like that, and that helps sustain our economies.
So you're basically saying there are advantages to being in the EU?
Yeah. Monetary advantages.
And what
the
do you
advantage
think?
of an independent Scotland functioning within the EU as well is that we would speak entirely for ourselves as opposed to being part of a larger conglomerate that has different agendas, different priorities. We would be speaking on behalf of our own country, representing ourselves and reaping the benefits of that.
And what do you think about Every Tip Co UK's idea that we should become a tax haven?
That didn't really work out that well for Ireland to start with. I know they're functioning okay now.
Yeah, but they had quite a ropey period for a long time.
Yeah, and also, like personally, I disagree with the idea of tax havens. I think if you're operating and profiting within a country, then you should be putting back into that country's economy because that's where you're taking the workforce from.
Alex, I mean, the idea of having being a tax haven is that you encourage big businesses in. I think Alex Salmond and the Scottish Government have said it's something that's been
one of the driving forces.
They are
there.
setting attractive corporate tax rates to try and bring businesses into Scotland. So
yeah.
I think we're doing that already in terms of bringing business to Scotland.
Yeah, my criticism of that though is there is that in the UK at the moment. The problem is companies within the UK are using tax havens to avoid paying tax, and we as a country are losing out.
Absolutely.
The tax haven.
A lot of money. So he goes on to say, apart from that stuff, he actually makes a positive point as well. He says, but Scotland has great infrastructure and a huge skilled workforce.
Agreed.
There are companies all over the world that would want to relocate to Scotland if the tax rates were favourable, which they're going to be. If we get an independent Scotland, they will be favourable. We might not be a tax haven, But we will have good rates of tax for corporations.
There are companies at the moment that have identified that this would be a benefit, and I think one of them is it British Airways, who have said that an independent Scotland would be beneficial for the Scottish airline industry, bringing people in, because the Scottish Government have proposed a reduction in the airline tax, which at the moment favours flights heading to England, and particularly the south of England.
Okay, and then he goes on to finish, you don't need to be part of the EU to be successful, but if you are in it, forget all the Braveheart bluster about being an independent country, because you won't be.
The thing is, again, I mean, there are monetary reasons to stay within the EU. For example, reduce tax when you're trading with other member states of the EU. Now, Scotland's biggest trading partner at the moment is England. I don't imagine that's going to change drastically in an independent Scotland. And so we would still reap the benefits of trading with a EU.
Although, to speak on his behalf, to speak on Every Tipco UK's behalf, there is a good chance that England's going to come out of the EU.
Yeah.
So that argument, of us staying in the EU and them leaving, the idea of having the benefits of trading with someone who's also in the EU, that might not be the case in a few years' time. But, well, we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculative issues going on at the moment, because if we vote no, are we then going to get dragged along?
We'll be leaving the EU anyway.
Yeah.
I would imagine, because England wants to leave it, so we will.
Well, yeah, depending on the referendum.
Okay.
I believe there was another comment.
Well, there was a comment, there was a reply to that. Before we had a chance to offer a rebuttal, we had a Kilbraur. That's his name, Kilbraur.
Kilbraur, that sounds quite aggressive.
I like it. Well, it's not Kill with two L's, that's just a name. It's Kilbraur. Kilbraur.
Oh, like
sounds like a place. It sounds like a
Kilbride.
place name, yeah. So anyway, he said, he quotes Every Tipco UK's message. He says, people it didn't vote for. I'm not saying he did it in that voice, or she. Doesn't actually say if it's a he or she, but I'm just adding that in. But it quotes people it didn't vote for. I don't know which part of Europe you live in, but I voted for my European MP. If you really believe that no European country is independent because it is a member of the EU, then that's okay, if it's your definition of independence. The point is, they all have their own governments, and that is what we want for Scotland.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I like that. I think that's true.
Fully agree with that. However, what I would say is that reiterates the argument that is quite high in the agenda of the Yes campaign, that at the moment the country that we live in doesn't have an independent government that is voted for by the people that inhabit that country. What we have is a devolved government which tackles certain issues, and then we have to tolerate the Westminster government, which we don't vote for. We
haven't.
Yeah.
Well, you and I were working out at the start. We were thinking about our lives, because you're slightly younger than me, but we were both working out in terms of our lives relative to how long we've been alive. Both of us, we worked it out, for more than half of our lives, Scotland has had a government from Westminster that Scotland didn't vote for.
Yeah.
The Tories have been in power for more than half of my life and more than half of your life. And that's not fair. That's ridiculous.
No.
So we do thank you for the points about the EU.
Keep up the debate. Like this, all this stuff is what we really need to.
No, I think because you and I were at an event. We're going to talk about that later on when we do one of our other videos. But we were at an event this week where Nicola Sturgeon was speaking, and she was saying that this whole debate has changed Scotland, and probably in a good way, because people are now they're talking about politics, they're talking about issues, they're talking about things that matter. Because I think for years and years people have been really apathetic about politics, and I think this has given people a reason to be engaged. It's given people a reason, and we're in an age now where you can look things up, you can become more informed. So people are looking for information, and they are wanting to become more informed, because it's quite easy to do. It's on your phone, it's on your tablet, it's on your computer. You can become informed. It's on the television all the time as well. Yeah. There's plenty of information out there.
I also think as well, like if you go into unis and colleges over the next couple of years and they start looking at the effect that social media has on political change and things like that, the Scottish independence is going to be one of the things that they start citing, because this is the first time that it's really played such a major role with people spreading information with what they find out, and
it's all good.
Yeah,
it's the end, isn't it? Yeah. So thanks very much for watching the comments edition of Ask Indy this week,
and thanks for the comments.
Thanks very much for the comments. We encourage the comments, be they positive or negative. Even if it says I look like Ronnie Barker, which
you do.
I'm looking at myself in the camera thinking, I don't look like Ronnie Barker. I don't think I do. Maybe I do. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the comments. And as I said at the start, We'd like questions as well as comments, because I mean that's why we dealt with this one, because there was a comment and a question. It was a question about what we thought of the EU, so we've tried to answer that as best we can. Any questions though, we would welcome that, because then it gives us an opportunity to try and answer them, look things up, and hopefully inform and educate.
What you can do as well is you can leave comments under the video. You can leave them on our Facebook page, and you can leave them on our Twitter page.
Yeah, because we're
links all about the place.
The links will be there. I mean, I don't know if they'll fit on the screen, but yeah, we have a Facebook page, which is just, I mean, all of it's just Ask Indy. If you look up Ask Indy on Facebook, you'll find Ask Indy, and I think it's at @ask_Indy on Twitter, isn't it?
That's the one.
But
yeah.
I mean, I think the links are now underneath the videos, because I think I did that for the last one we did.
Sweet.
So the links are there. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, leave a comment there. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow us there, and let's keep the debate going, because it's good. There's only another 4 or 5 weeks to go now. Yeah, it's 5 weeks today. Actually, when we're recording this, it's 5 weeks today, so look at 35 more days. So come on, let's get debating, folks. Did you feel you've spoken enough? Or do you think every Tipco UK has Paul spoken enough today? I'm taking a conscious effort to breathe more and let him speak more.
This is Ian.
This is me being
dialing it
restrained.
back.
This is me being restrained and dialing it back. Because normally I don't stop talking.
Yeah, we were going to put a cease and desist order in on you for.
Well, I was going to get one of those gagging, like when they bring Hannibal Lecter in the chair and they put the mask over his face and he can't really talk. That's what we're going to wheel me in a trolley with a mask over my face, but we couldn't find one at this short notice.
No.
So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Ask Indy. Bye.
Bye.
You could vote yes, you could vote no, you could pretend that you still don't know. I will suggest, I might even confess, what will be best is if you vote yes.